Hi, I'm Mr. Turner, and I'm the person who organized the content of the Summer Bridge, the Pre-Collegiate Summer Bridge SAT Math Prep course. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about it so that you understand the value of working through the content of this course, and maybe talk about some of the things that might go through your head as you're working through the content. But this content's really developed to be content that what I call is foundational. It means, and foundational to the SAT means that it's going to be content that you may not have questions that look exactly like this content, but by reviewing the skills that are included in the content, you'll be able to answer the more complex questions on the SAT test. And in the course, we do have SAT practice questions. You can go to College Board actually and download full SAT practice tests free of charge with the answers and solutions all included, and we'll post a link to that. And again, we'll have quizzes. We have what we call problem-solving quizzes, PS quizzes, in the course where you can do some 3 to 5 question practice quizzes that give you more SAT-like questions, because you do need that practice to do well specifically on the SAT test. But this foundational content will actually increase your fluency towards that problem-solving end, and it is proven, and it will improve scores. If all you did was work on foundational content and didn't practice test type questions, it would still improve your score. That's something that we know to be true. So this will help you. What's also true of the content you're going to go through in this course is that it's really just good content to review for all math. And there's actually content that goes way below this that a person should also review, but there's only so much you can do in one little small window of time. So we included content specific to SAT. I pulled the elements of this course out after reviewing the SAT for a long period, not a long period of time, but going into detail, looking at practice questions. The College Board puts out practice assessments. I kind of picked out the elements that seem to commonly occur in the SAT test so that students could practice those, and that's really what you're going to be doing in this course. As you enter the course, or as you start doing the lessons, the elements of each, we have modules, several modules in the course, and within each module is a lesson. As you start several lessons, as you start working through the lessons, you're going to see stuff that you've already seen, and it may feel like a waste of time. You may say to yourself, why am I doing this when I already know how to do it? Well, first of all, good that you remember how to do it, because that's not always the case. Even if you've learned something in math, it's probably fixed in your long-term memory in some level, but over time that starts to fade, so it becomes less and less accessible, and the more you go back and practice it, the more readily available it is. And when you walk in to take a test like the SAT, you want to make sure that it's really available, and that's why you practice these things. Also, you practice foundational content so that when you encounter it in math and other courses, and higher level courses, it's readily available, which makes the more complex math easier. So you really should be reviewing foundational types of content continually in math, and hopefully that's happening in the programming in your school. In fact, if you learned something last year in math, you probably should, it's called spiraling, that hopefully you're being given the opportunity to review that stuff the following year again, even though it feels like you already had it and you shouldn't have to revisit it. And some of that comes up organically in math as you work more complex math, that you're using skills that you've used in the past, and that will also stir the long-term memory and keep that fresh and sharp in your mind. But again, the whole purpose of this the foundational content aspects of this course is to just review those skills, bring them back in, refresh your memory. You might encounter things that you don't remember at all, and then that's when you're going to see, okay, now I really understand why I'm doing this. But even if you do remember it, becoming more fluent in procedural aspects of math improves your ability to solve problems more efficiently and effectively, and the fewer mistakes you're going to make. So there's just a lot of benefit to doing this. Hopefully you'll trust us. I've been a math educator for 28 years, so just trust me that I've seen this work over and over again, and it'll work for you too. Well, the elements of the course that we have, it's really, you should be able to manage the course almost independently. You will have tutors that you're going to meet through video, hopefully, that are going to help you throughout the course. I'll be around, and I might jump in and help sometimes, but it'll be much younger and much more interesting people helping you throughout the course. This should be the last you see of me. But what's available to you as you work through the lessons are these 3 items. We have a video, so for each little skill, and they're broken down in really small chunks. So for each little skill, you'll have a video, not a very long video usually. Usually they're around 5 minutes, maybe even less. A few may get longer than that, but usually they're very short videos, so easy to get through. And you have a worked example, which is really a problem worked out like a teacher would do in the classroom. It's just static because we're not in front of you. In the video, our teaching assistants or our tutors will work problems out for you just like a teacher did, but we also have them worked out in static worked examples that you can pull down and just have sitting next to you as you work the quizzes or the practice sets. And then we have a quiz, which really is just a practice set because you can take it multiple times, not just once. You can take it as many times as you want to. In fact, we recommend you take it until you've gotten them all right, because you're trying to approach mastery, really doing a good refresh of that content in your long-term memory. So those 3 elements. Now, you don't have to use them all. In fact, here's what I recommend. I say go in and take the quiz, because if you already know it and you just needed a little bit more practice, you're going to get 100% on the quiz and you can move on. If you open up the quiz and you see that you don't remember, then just shut it, just close it. Doesn't matter, because you get multiple attempts. Come back and pick either the video or the worked example or both. Now, the both are going to reveal the same type of content. A lot of students that have used this model in the past like the worked example, and they just need that little refresher to see the steps of the problem work out, the procedural steps worked out. If you need a little more support, then that's where you go to the video that provides a little more support, because there's an actual live person explaining it to you, covering nuance that's not covered in the worked example. But those are supporting materials. That's where you're really testing your knowledge. Now, if this all fails, that's when you reach out to one of the tutors. There will be one assigned to your group. You'll know who to contact when you run into trouble, but you contact one of them if this all doesn't work, and they can kind of help you individually get over something. Because maybe you'll encounter something in this course that you haven't had that we know is foundational SAT, and you want to learn it. So you'll reach out to them, they'll help you get through it. So there's tons of ways to resource yourself. Most of you will be able to work through all of this without requiring any more help if you've already had it. If you encounter something you haven't had, then that's when you'll more likely need a little bit more help from a tutor or something. But again, every lesson in the foundational content has all these 3 aspects. Now, when you get to the problem-solving quizzes, they're just quizzes pulled from SAT practice tests. Included with all those quizzes is a document that it's just a PDF that you can download that should be linked within the quiz. As soon as you open it up, there should be a link to it that shows you the actual solutions to those questions. And this is totally on your own. I mean, you're not getting a grade like you would in school for this. So this is about you bettering yourself. So the best choice is for you to attempt the question, try the answer. If you get it right, great, you know it. If you don't, then open the resource and look at the solution to help guide you through. And then that probably will get you through the problem. If that doesn't work and you really want to know how to solve that problem, that's when you'll reach out to one of the tutors, or I may jump in on some of those too and help with those more elaborate problem-solving issues, and we can help with those too. So, and I recommend doing a little bit of both. Definitely do the foundational content. It'll seem like you should just jump to quiz-type questions, like SAT-type questions, but trust me on this, if you work through the foundational content, it's going to improve that score also, and maybe even a little bit more, because you're really working on the skill required, whereas the problems won't be the exact same problems that are on the SAT, so you really need to hone that skill. So work through a lot of the foundational content as much as you can. Probably won't get through it all in the time you have allotted, but you'll be able to kind of pick and choose where you go and what you need to work on. If you need advice on that, reach out to the tutors and we can kind of guide you on, based on where you're at, what class you've taken, we can kind of help you with deciding where to start running through the foundational content. Anyway, all of it's going to be helpful. None of it's going to be harmful. It's all worth your time in some way, I promise. Even if you think you know it well, there's no such thing as knowing it too well in math, so go back and practice it. Anyway, that's a little bit about the course. Hopefully you have fun with it, find some challenge, but the purpose of this video really was to help you kind of see the value of it for you, and I think you will see improvement in your scores, and you're definitely going to feel more confident about it as you approach the coming year about your math when you go through the content in this course. So thanks for signing up, and hopefully you get a great benefit out of the work that you're going to do this summer, and congratulations to you for being willing to give a little bit of your summer to continue to work on your academic skills.